You found the Creepsters vault. New horrors are added every week. Like, subscribe. When and where did you find the vault? Tell the Creepster in the comments. We can't keep it open without you. And don't forget to close the blinds. I don't remember falling asleep. I remember waking up. Everything was white, blinding, humming, and sterile. I was flat on my back, staring up at a ceiling that wasn't really there. Just a shifting field of light overhead, rippling like water lit from beneath. It didn't feel like a dream. It felt real. Too real. The kind of clarity that makes you aware of every hair on your arm, every breath you should be taking, but aren't. I couldn't hear anything. Not the buzz of machines or the hum of air vents. Not even my own breathing. The silence felt manufactured, like the room was suppressing sound itself. I tried to move, but my limbs were heavy, sluggish, like they weren't mine. When I turned my head, I saw a table beside me, long and silver, lined with tools I didn't recognize. Curved instruments that glowed faintly, needles shaped like spirals, and clamps that opened in unnatural ways. None of it looked surgical. It looked experimental. And across from the table, there was a chair. Tall, thin, designed for a body that definitely wasn't human. That's when the panic set in. My body responded, barely. I staggered upright and made for the only thing that resembled an exit, a door. Seamless, smooth, no handle, but definitely a door. When I touched it, it slid open without a sound, and something was waiting on the other side. I saw it for maybe half a second. It stood tall, too tall, and its skin looked like stretched pearl, translucent in places with faint pulses of light underneath. No mouth, just slits where eyes should be, glowing with a dull, pale blue. Its head tilted slightly as if examining me, and just before I could scream, everything folded inward. The walls, the light, my vision, all of it collapsed like a black hole swallowing itself, and I passed out. When I woke up, I was back in my room, just there, on my bed, fully clothed, clock blinking 3:12 a.m. My phone was on the charger. My fan was humming like nothing had ever happened, but my chest ached. My legs were sore like I'd run a marathon, and my sheets were soaked in cold sweat. I tried to shake it off. Stress, I thought. A lucid dream. Maybe sleep paralysis. But I couldn't explain how real it had felt, or why I kept checking my skin for marks. 3 nights later, I woke up again, but not in my bed. I was standing in the corner of my room, facing the wall, perfectly still, hands at my sides. I didn't even feel fear, just confusion, like I had appeared there without warning. When I turned around, I saw that my window was wide open. It had been raining. There were muddy footprints on the carpet, leading into the room, and they weren't mine. That's when the time started going missing. I'd be mid-conversation and forget where I was. Blink, and hours would disappear. I bought a night vision camera and started recording myself while I slept. The footage showed nothing until the 4th night. At exactly 3:11 a.m., the feed went to static. 5 full minutes of white noise. When it returned, I was gone. The bed was empty, and at 3:17, I reappeared, climbing back in through the open window, clothes wet, expression blank. I didn't react to the camera. I just lay down and closed my eyes like nothing had happened. That same night, I woke up with a thin red line down the center of my chest. Not a scratch, not a wound, just a mark. Perfectly straight, perfectly healed. As if something had opened me up and put me back together. I went to a doctor, told him I was having sleep problems, losing time, He ran blood tests, checked my brain. Nothing. "You're healthy," he said, "just stressed." But I knew it was more than that. I could feel something humming inside my teeth, like a frequency I wasn't supposed to hear. I started having dreams, except they didn't feel like dreams, more like transmissions, flashes of that white room, that shifting ceiling, and voices I couldn't understand, except they weren't voices. They were impressions, ideas, questions. One night, the memories flooded back all at once. I was back on that table, this time fully conscious. I could feel them around me, 3 of them moving in sync, gliding without sound. They weren't doing surgery. They were studying, curious, precise. They'd lift my arm and hold it there for minutes, not speaking, not blinking, just observing. They didn't hurt me, but they weren't gentle either. I wasn't a person to them. I was a specimen, something to understand, something to use. The next night I tried to fight it. I stayed awake as long as I could. Caffeine, alarms, music blasting through headphones. At 3:12 a.m. I lost consciousness anyway. And this time, when I woke up, I was back in the room. Same table, same airless silence. Only now, I wasn't strapped down. I sat up, heart pounding, and waited. After a moment, the door opened. One of them entered, alone. It came closer than before, close enough to see the subtle movement of light beneath its skin. I didn't move, neither did it. Then, it reached toward my face. Not aggressively, gently, like it was trying to understand something. And in that moment, I saw. I don't mean I had a vision. I mean I understood, all at once. Their world, their purpose, their desperation. A planet dying, resources gone, a species on the edge of extinction. They had searched for answers and found us. Not our weapons, not our knowledge, but our biology. We weren't the target. We were the key. I woke up in my shower, fully dressed, water running, blood in my nose. I couldn't remember getting in, couldn't remember turning anything on, but I knew it wasn't over. Now, every night I wake up at 3:12 a.m., sometimes in my bed, sometimes somewhere else. I keep my windows boarded, my phone's always dead by morning. The mark on my chest is still there, faint but permanent. And sometimes, I want to go back, like part of me misses it, or needs to return. I don't know if I'm going insane, or if I'm just one of the lucky few who remembers. So if you ever wake up in a place that feels too clean, too quiet, with no ceiling overhead, don't run for the door. You won't like what's waiting on the other side. And if you're lucky, you'll forget it ever happened. They say if you wake up in the middle of the night for no reason at all, something is watching you. I never believed that. Not until the summer I turned 10. And by then, it was already too late. We lived in a small, quiet town, one of those neighborhoods with identical houses, trimmed hedges, and kids who ride their bikes in circles until the streetlights come on. Our house sat at the edge of the cul-de-sac, backed up against a stretch of woods that always felt a little too quiet. My bedroom was at the end of the hallway, the only one facing the backyard. At night, my mom used to say, "Don't forget to close your blinds. You never know what's looking back." She meant it as a joke, but after a while, I stopped laughing. I used to leave the blinds cracked open just enough to see the stars. I liked the way the moonlight hit the trees. It felt peaceful. But everything changed the night I woke up at exactly 3:12 a.m. Not because of a dream, not because of a sound. I just opened my eyes and felt it. that heavy, unnatural stillness, like the air had thickened around me. I turned my head toward the window, and that's when I saw it. There was something standing in the backyard. Not a person, not an animal. It was tall, too tall, and impossibly still. Its outline was darker than the shadows around it, like it absorbed the moonlight instead of reflecting it. And even though I couldn't see its face, I could feel it, watching me. My body was frozen. My heart was pounding so hard I thought it might crack my ribs. Then it tilted its head, just slightly, as if it was curious, studying. And then, without moving a muscle, it was gone. The next morning I told my parents. My mom said it was just a dream. My dad laughed it off. Even my older brother Kyle made fun of me. "Maybe it was your alien boyfriend," he said. "You're not that special." But I knew what I saw. That thing was real. That night I shut the blinds completely. I even locked the window and pushed a chair in front of it. I didn't want to see anything, but it didn't matter. I still woke up. Same time, 3:12 a.m., eyes open, staring at the ceiling. Except this time, there was a voice. Not outside the room, not even in my ears. It was inside my head. "Come to the window," it said. I didn't move. I couldn't. I just stared at the ceiling until the air lightened again and I could breathe. I knew it was still out there, waiting. I started writing everything down. Times, dreams, strange feelings. Sometimes I'd wake up with small bruises on my arms, or a thin scratch behind my ear. Once I even found dried blood on my pillow. Then, 2 weeks later, Kyle saw it. He barged into my room at midnight, pale and shaking. He'd been downstairs watching a movie when something appeared outside the patio door. He said it was the same thing I described. Same height, same stillness, same tilt of the head. "Its neck moved like a bird," he said, "but slower, like it wasn't following rules." After that, nobody laughed. We decided to stay up together the next night. We had flashlights, walkie-talkies, even salt, because that's what people online said could help. Our plan was to flood the room with light and make noise if it came back. But we didn't get the chance. We both woke up in our beds at sunrise. No memory of falling asleep. No flashlights. No walkie-talkies. Gone. My mom said she found us passed out on the floor, but we looked fine. Kyle had a nosebleed. I had dirt on my feet. And all I could remember was a faint whisper before I blacked out. Something that said, "Next time." After that night, it was never just the window. Sometimes I'd wake up facing the wrong direction on the bed. Sometimes the window would be open, even though I knew I locked it. I started putting books in front of the blinds, setting up little traps. I even taped eyes I drew onto the glass. I don't know if it worked, but sometimes it stayed away. Other nights, it didn't. Then came the storm. The night the lightning knocked out the power and my parents were stuck at my aunt's house. Kyle and I were alone, sitting in the dark with nothing but a flashlight and the sound of rain against the windows. And then, we heard it. The back door creaked open. We didn't speak, didn't move. Then the voice, clearer than ever, inside both our heads. "Come to the window." I grabbed the flashlight, hands shaking, and when I turned it on, I saw it. Not outside, not in the backyard, inside. It was taller than the doorway, skin like ink, eyes glowing pale blue like headlights underwater, and its fingers, they didn't end. They just kept narrowing into long, twitching threads. It stepped forward, not walking, just gliding. A noise began building in my ears like a low, pulsing hum, and then Kyle did something I'll never forget. He grabbed the salt and threw it at the thing. It stopped, tilted its head, just like before. Then the hum cut out. The air snapped back, and it vanished. No sound, no trace. We moved 2 weeks later, far from the woods, far from the window, but I still keep a camera pointed at whatever window is closest to my bed, and every so often I still wake up at 3:12, eyes open, pressure in the air, blinds cracked just a little, like someone's reminding me they're still watching. So if you wake up in the middle of the night, don't look at the clock, don't go to the window, and whatever you do, don't open the blinds. You ever wonder why we're not fixing the planet? I used to, until I learned we were never supposed to. My name is Dr. Elise Hartman. I was a senior climate systems analyst at Equinox Terra. You've probably heard of them. Sleek branding, global sustainability ads, big promises about saving Earth through geoengineering. They said we were building the future. I believed them. That was my first mistake. It started small, just weird data anomalies. Ocean temperatures rising in tightly localized zones, methane pockets appearing in areas with no natural gas lines, the atmosphere shifting in ways no one could explain. I thought the models were broken. I even triple-checked the neural mapping we used for long-term climate predictions. But everything was functioning perfectly. The outputs were right. It's just that what they were predicting didn't make sense. I brought my concerns to my supervisor. He smiled, calm, practiced, and told me,
"You're seeing early-stage turbulence. It'll settle once the algorithm stabilizes."
But something in his eyes said he wasn't surprised. That was my second mistake. I didn't stop there. A few days later, I found something buried in our restricted system logs. A partition that wasn't tied to any active project, Project Helix, encrypted, hidden under climate modeling data. It wasn't easy to access, but once I did, everything changed. Inside were simulations not meant to reverse global warming, but to accelerate it. Models showed the Earth being slowly altered over the next 40 years. Decreased oxygen density, increased atmospheric nitrogen, higher surface radiation, thickened greenhouse layers. Each decade aligned with massive shifts in Earth's biosphere, but in the wrong direction. I cross-referenced the data with remote satellite images and found construction zones, massive facilities sprouting up in uninhabited regions. Siberia, the Canadian Shield, parts of the Sahara. None of them had public documentation, but all of them were producing atmospheric processors, devices designed to permanently alter Earth's environment. There were thousands of internal documents, mostly in coded formatting, but a few were plain enough to read. Phase 3, urban decline acceleration. Phase 4, atmospheric reshaping, target biosuit oxygen index 0.65. Phase 5, population reduction, passive compliance methodology. At the bottom of every log, the same footer. Helix protocol is not to be interpreted as hostile. This planet is undergoing authorized restructuring. I confronted my supervisor again. I demanded answers. He didn't blink, didn't even deny it, just said,
"You've seen too much. So now you get a choice. Stay, help, and be protected. Or keep digging and be erased."
I walked out of that meeting, packed my things, tried to go public. But my emails bounced. Every press contact I had, gone. Phone lines dead. My files wiped remotely. And the next day, Mira, my closest colleague, didn't show up for work. I went to her apartment. It was empty, like she'd never existed. Then the car showed up. Same one. Every day, black. 2 houses down, no license plate. Sometimes I'd see a man in a suit standing outside it, just watching my window. I moved across the country, but the car showed up again. One night I turned on my smart TV. I hadn't used it in weeks. The screen lit up green, lines of text started scrolling. Dr. Hartman, you were a valuable contributor to planetary adaptation. You are no longer essential. Reintegration scheduled, T-13 cycles. I ripped the plug out of the wall, burned every device I owned. Didn't matter. I started dreaming about them. Tall, thin figures, skin like black glass, moving through our facilities, not building, not testing, inspecting, watching us finish the work. You see, they're not invading. They never invaded. They were already here, maybe for centuries. Maybe they made us. Maybe we were just the seed stage. And now the planet's maturing, becoming something new, something meant for them. Equinox Terra was never about saving the Earth. It was a chrysalis. And we were the caterpillars, temporary, necessary, but disposable. The air's already changing. If you're tired all the time, if your food tastes different, if your lungs feel heavy at night, it's not in your head. You're not malfunctioning. The world is, by design. I don't know how long I have. They're close. I can feel it. But I need someone to hear this. Because this was never about global warming, or climate change, or survival. It was about replacement. And we were never supposed to be here for the final phase.